Hello, welcome to Better System Trader Live, the show for systematic and algorithmic traders. Glad you could join us today. Let's get started. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Glad you could join us today, where we're going to be talking about how to perform like a world champion in times of stress and uncertainty, which is definitely what we're seeing now in the markets and outside of the markets as well. And we have a very special guest today who is a trader and speaker and a peak performance coach, I should say, who works with independent traders and prop trading firms and hedge funds as well. She's very well experienced in what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, Mandi. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
It's really great to have you here again. I was just looking up, actually, you were on this show many years ago, 2018, actually. Can you believe it's like 3 and a bit years ago was the last time we spoke on this show. And we were talking about high performance trading back then. And for people who want to go back and have a look at that, episode number 153. So that's bettersystemtrader.com/153. So welcome back, Mandi. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I think it's very timely, our discussion for today. But before we get into that, do you want to just share a little bit of background on yourself?
So I don't want to talk too much about myself because
Sure.
you don't have much time. But in a nutshell, I am an active DEX trader mostly. I have been trading for about 20 years. It was a long journey, a lot of battles. And as Linda Rushke says, the road to success is filled with potholes and that we fall in frequently. So overcoming lots of potholes and learning and growing. And I met you when was it, 2018 at the ATAA conference.
Yes.
And we started talking and it was just really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist. I need to say that I'm a highly trained professional accredited coach. So, and continuously learn new accreditations like, profiling, special coaching skills. So that's my background.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect background for what we're going to talk about today. And I like that you're more on the the practical side of trading psychology rather than and too much theory. So as I mentioned, it's quite timely today, and you talked about potholes, which I think is very fitting because when you look around, I guess there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets and also outside of the markets, political and all that kind of stuff going on today. And what I've noticed in some of my discussions with traders is this uncertainty is really having an impact on them, and it's not just specifically discretionary traders. It's systematic and algorithmic traders as well. Traders are of all different styles seem to be under a lot of stress, and so it's perfect that we're going to be talking about that today and how to perform in times of stress and uncertainty. And I know you've got a lot of great tips to share. But first, how about we start with the very basics in how do you define stress?
Yeah, so Andrew, I have my own definition of stress based on when I work with a trader and they say, I feel so stressed. I ask them, what is it that you feel stressed about? Because what is stress? Stress is always about fear. And there seems to be two directions, right? It's either the fear of not getting what you want, which is profits, or that is not mutually exclusive, the fear of getting what you don't want, which is a loss. And so now that we can understand what stress is in terms of mindset, like what are the thoughts around how we feel stressed, we can now dive deeper into the individual's experience of what is stress for that person, for that trader, and start having bespoke solutions for this individual trader. Because you can imagine that someone who is afraid of not getting profits has a very, very different thinking strategy and emotional world than someone who has the fear of having losses. And I don't know about you, Andrew. It's really interesting when I ask them, so what is it about your fear in terms of not getting profits or getting losses? And I ask them, what is that you're really afraid of? They say, I'm afraid of losing money. And then I ask them, what did you do last weekend? Oh, I took the family out to, I don't know, to the Gold Coast to this movie world, spent $500 because I've got 3 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
I'm like, were you afraid of losing $500 there? And I said, no. And that was also my own experience. I'm sure you can relate to that, Andrew, where, I would buy a pair of like really nice shoes, $300. I'm like, oh my God, they're so awesome. But I would never wear them because they were painful or they were just really uncomfortable. I didn't have any fear around that. I didn't feel bad or guilty or shameful. But I could not lose $50 in the markets. There was so much emotional turmoil going on and stress, right? The fear of,
Wow.
oh my God, I can't take a $50 loss. So it can't be about the money, can it?
No,
Yeah.
no. So I want to dig into that a lot more. I've got so many questions in my head right now. But firstly, I want to understand the impact stress can have on trading. Some are kind of obvious, I guess, but can you dig into that a little bit more before we look at what's actually causing this stress?
Yeah, so the impact it has is that it really interferes with our ability to think logically and rationally. And on the back of feeling stress, and whatever stress looks like, is it may be a feeling of overwhelm, a feeling of I can't do this, I don't know how to handle this, a feeling of not being good enough, and whatever feeling and thinking is connected with it, it causes our brain to go into under functioning. And it's a chemical reaction, nothing else. I don't know if you have followed the work of Professor Huberman. I just love this guy, right? He's been able to explain what is chemically going on in our brain when we are under stress, when we are hungry, when we are tired, and how to really bring the best out in our body and perform the best with our biological, natural processes. So if you look at what happens during stress, and I learned that from Huberman and other sources, based on what's going on in our brain, there is a chemical reaction that literally disrupts the survival brain with the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. It's a chemical reaction, nothing else. So when we understand that, there's actually, in a nutshell, not more to it, then we feel like we are more in power. So what does it mean that it's just a chemical reaction, we can't have the connection to the thinking brain? Well, that's when what happens is when we go on tilt, when we go on revenge trading. We have that with traders, for example, who work in a prop firm or work for a fund, and they have performance targets, or traders who trade for others and don't want them to lose money, of course, their clients, right? So traders who are under that sort of stress, that they need to perform in order to fulfill a certain performance standard, that's then performance anxiety and puts them under pressure, and maybe they're then trying too hard and going on tilt. For retail traders, it's mostly revenge trading, where the experience is, oh, the market took my money, I want to get my money back. So it looks always different in terms of how it plays out. But when we look at going out of the story and the content and looking at it in terms of a context and a behavioral strategy, it's always that stress and the fear of uncertainty triggers unconscious automated behavioral patterns where we feel we are not in control. And it's like someone else is doing that, pressing the mouse button. Or it's like we have a kryptonite and there is, the brain says, don't do it. And the finger still does it. It's like a circuit breaker between the brain and the finger, right? It's like, what are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah. So I guess
in a nutshell.
Sorry, go on.
So in a nutshell, it always leads to behavioral patterns that we didn't want to do, and they then end up to creating losses that are bigger than we want to have.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe sometimes that what you just mentioned there about it being unconscious, some of these actions are unconscious, make it difficult to identify that it's actually happening, and perhaps people don't even realize. So what I don't want to ask you about managing that yet, because I know that's coming up, so I'm going to hold that thought for a minute. because I want to go back to a comment you made just a few moments ago about traders. They have a fear of losing money, but you mentioned a couple of good examples where they're happy to go out and spend money here, there, and everywhere, and you said so that the fear is not about money. And I thought, yeah, that's quite interesting. So, what is the fear then? If they're saying that they're fearful of losing money, but they're spending money everywhere else, there must be something underlying there. What is that?
Yeah. So to me, there are two parts. So when I work with a trader, I look at two different parts. Number one, I look at the early conditioning and programming of this trader. So for example, I was working with a trader, an amazing guy from the US. He used to play baseball quite close to professional level. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to pro level because of his stature. So he's too small to be a strong baseball player. And that has a lot to do with mechanics, right? With physics. It's like in golf. The taller you are, the more lever you have, and it's easier for you to perform. Doesn't mean that short players cannot perform, but there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
So his conditioning was, let me tell you about his trading first. His trading behavior was that he always wanted to have, the big run. He needed always to have more in the trade. He always wanted to have a bigger profit. The famous, what's it called again? The famous six, I forgot the saying, hitting the home run.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting the home run is a name, or is something from baseball, right? So in how he was trained, because he played baseball from a very young age onwards, is that he needed to hit the home run even harder than everyone else because he was small of stature to gain his place in the team. And so he was trying really hard to hit the home run. Guess what he did in trading now at the age of 30? Still the same. He was trying really hard to hit the home run. And it doesn't work in trading. In trading, you need to be in sync and nimble with the market, right? You need to have maybe if you have a profit target and it turns around before that profit target, you need to be able to get out and not wait for the home run. And this is what was missing for him. So you can see that was conditioning. And then when I ask him, what is that you say to yourself? He's like, when you have a loss, and he said, it's the end of the world. It's like, I'm done, I'm doomed. And I said, let's have a look at your baseball experience. What was the conditioning there? And he said, well, if I didn't perform, if I hit well in my game, then the other players wouldn't throw the ball to me because they would throw to someone who would maybe perform better. That was where it's the end came in, right? So he learned in his game that if he doesn't perform, he's not being included in the game anymore because someone else who's better is going to get the ball. Right? So you can see just these two simple experiences. And there were like 5 or 6 more examples. These two simple experiences conditioned him to do badly in his trading in 2 ways. Number one, as I said, he always wanted to hit the home run. So get the really big profits, which doesn't work in a volatile market, as we know, because the market moves fast up and down. And number 2, he wanted to then make up for it. And he would then go revenge trade and try to get the money back. And this is then when the automatic behavior comes in, because it was stress for him. And he would just press that mouse button like crazy and have, one really nice trade and then 10 little losers who ate up all the profits again. So you can see that vicious circle. Once he understood his programming and it became so aware for him, he didn't need to do it anymore. Because, then we trained him to think differently. When this old feeling, this urge came up of hitting the home run or getting the money back, he could then manage himself. That's self-leadership, and say, okay, so that's just my conditioning from the past. I don't need to do that because in trading, it does not work. I needed to do that in baseball, but not in trading. I need to do the opposite. And so he learned to gain control over his urges and temptations and fears.
So in your work, I know you do a lot of work with traders. Do you think that conditioning is like one of the major issues that that traders are facing because they've been trained a different way, and then it doesn't quite work in a market environment?
Yes, absolutely. Conditioning. So if you look at research, it's said that 60% of our behavior is learned behavior, 40% of our behavior is genetic. The genetic parts we can't influence, obviously. And this is why you see twins having similar behavioral patterns, even though they grew up in different parts of the world. I don't know if you saw this Netflix documentary about the three twins that were being separated at a very young age without them knowing. I forgot the name of this one. So, do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Sorry.
That's okay.
I have seen it though. Yeah.
So so you can see it's genetic, and so most of it is behavioral. So what happened with this trader, my baseball trader, because of his experiences in baseball of being maybe ostracized or judged or criticized or ridiculed based on his performance or lack thereof on the field, and also ridiculed and criticized on his physical appearance, he created a certain self-image, self-worth. And that is then the second part to being able to perform or not perform in the markets. So the self-image and the self-worth is something that I look at, but I look at it through the lens of conditioning. What happened so that you made this decision about yourself? I was working with a trader yesterday, really interesting guy from Europe. I'm not saying which country because it's a small country. And he started working for a prop firm. And he used to be a martial artist in Muay Thai. Very active guy. So now, and other sports, just really athletic guy. So now he works from 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. He just started at this prop firm, so he's still learning on sim. He's started trading about a year ago only. So he's trying so hard to become a great trader. And I said to him, working so hard is actually working against you. And he made somewhere in his life the decision that he has to work hard and give his everything. Otherwise, he is not good enough. Otherwise, people view him as lazy and kick him out. So he had the impression that he had to be, 15 hours on the trading floor so that his boss sees how much he's trying. And I said to him, the famous quote that I just gave you before, a small hinge swings a big door. We want to go back and scale back on your hours and look at what would make the most impact on your trading journey, accelerating your trading performance. It's not a question of time. It's a question of quality and, the min-max system. That's how I live my life. What's my minimum input to get the maximum output? Yeah. And part of that is being physically active. Yeah, so I don't know about you, but as I got older, I started getting back problems. And these things, when we sit too long, they catch up with us. And then we can't perform anymore in the markets. So yeah, to me, it's mostly conditioning, how we view the world. And that's the beauty of it, because that's easy to change, isn't it? Genetics, we can't change. I will never be tall and blonde, maybe blonde if I dye my hair, but never tall. So
you could get some new shoes with the big platforms on them, and then you'll be taller, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can work with all tricks. Doesn't work in trading, though.
I guess the trick with that is you've got to recognize where the conditioning is impacting your trading, right? So I guess that's where having trading coaches and things like that really helpful, because you've got someone looking from the outside in, and
exactly.
Yes.
And it shows beautifully, because in your work, working with traders who do algorithmic trading, a lot of traders think, oh, that's the solution to all my mindset challenges. I just automate my trading strategy and then everything will be fine. And it was just, Skyping with emailing with a trader last night. He went on tilt last week, and I gave him some insights on what to change. And he said, oh, you know what? I will be fine. I'm just going to put limit orders in the market and I will be fine. I'm like, no, you won't, because your fears of not performing will still be there even if you automate your system. Is that what you see as well, Andrew?
Absolutely, yeah, I see that all the time. And with algorithmic traders, they're switching, they go into a little bit of a drawdown and they start doubting themselves and their strategies, so they switch them on and off. And usually, Murphy's law, they switch it off at the exact wrong moment, and it turns around and then it starts making money and they switch it back on and then it starts losing again. So that's not anything wrong with algorithmic trading, as you mentioned. It's the psychology and the conditioning that's impacting people switching on and off the strategy. So I think it doesn't matter whether you're just like a systematic or discretionary or algorithmic. We all face these challenges because we're humans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still think that being an algorithmic trader or working with some sort of automated trading system is going to help with your trading performance. Absolutely. Because it will take away a big bunch of impulsive behavior and fears, but it's not the be all and end all. So absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm obviously biased to algorithmic trading because that's my style, but I think we all need to look out for that. So I want to get into more practical things now, because we had a discussion a few days ago about what we were going to talk about today, and I know you've got a lot of ideas and practical tips on how to manage stress. So just looking at my notes here, I'm not exactly sure where to start. So maybe
All right. So how about I help you with a little
help me. Thank you very much.
and this is what life is all about: being a team and having someone who has your back. And to be able to say, hey, I'm having a little bit of a challenge here. Can you help me with that? And also having the guts to say, oh, I'm not quite sure where to go from here. And I remember, in Linda's book, Trading Sardines, do you remember that, we have it here. That's actually how we met, through Linda.
That's right, yeah.
Andrew and I. So, and we both were lucky enough to give some insights into Linda's book when she was writing it. So it was so much fun. Yeah. But so Linda talks about how when she started off trading, how she every Friday had to go through her trades of the week with her financial backers, so with her mentors. And I don't know about you, but talking about my losing trades, it's so vulnerable for me and so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But we need to do it, right? It's about having insights from someone where, what you said before, we can't see ourselves from the back of our eyeballs, and someone looking in from the outside and giving us feedback on how we can improve. So that's why I'm always a big fan of working in a team, which you, with your what is it, Empower Trader? What's your website, Empower Trader?
That's the name of the newsletter, yeah, but Better Trader Academy.
The name. Yeah, Better Trader Academy. This is what you deliver. So when we look at dealing with stress, when I work with my trader on the topic of stress, I look at 3 different areas. I look at, of course, emotionally dealing with stress, because it brings up a lot of emotions like overwhelm, fear, anxiety, feelings of not being able to do it, feelings of losing control, whatever it is for the individual trader. So we need to look into the feelings and acknowledge them and then transform them into, so if you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious now, how would you like to feel instead? And most say to me, I would like to feel calm and focused. So that's the emotional area. Then we want to look at the mental strategy. So what is that you're saying to yourself that is self-defeating and sabotaging? I can't do it. The market took my money again. This market is just so incredibly hard. It's all rigged, right? All the self-defeating self-talk. And the third area is really physically dealing with stress, where we can do so much with nutrition, with sport, with our family, our team, to help us be on top of our mental, emotional, and physical capital, so that we can deal with challenges head on and overcome them. because this is life, Andrew. And most traders that I communicate with, they start off with, can you help me remove those challenges? And I think this is how our conversation started as well, how to be stress-free in this environment. I'm like, we can't be stress-free. And if we can only perform when we're in an environment of no stress, we will always be dependent on the external world of not having stress. And you know how you shared this morning, the kids are at home, we are in lockdown again, the puppy is going crazy, and you're like, oh my God, I need to take my puppy out for a long walk and throw lots of balls and tire him out. And he's still not tired. He still wants to play. He must be scratching on your door right now.
No, he's quiet. I think, fingers crossed, he's asleep. We'll see.
Great. So, but that's the reality of life, right?
Mm.
And I saw someone tweeting, someone with a really big Twitter account, like 100,000 followers. And he's like, if you want to perform in trading, you need to remove worries from your life. It's like, good luck. I haven't figured out how to remove worries from my life. Can you please teach me? If you have someone, if your kids are sick, of course you worry about them. You don't want them to see hurting. Yeah. So worries are the reality of life. Now, what we need to learn is to deal with those worries. And that's the definition for me of goal setting or performance improvement.
Mm-hmm.
We are here, right? And our goal is up here. The definition is that we have to overcome obstacles like a ninja warrior, in order to get our goal.
Yeah.
And no one says to an athlete, you shouldn't, you should avoid challenges. You should avoid better players. Don't try too hard to win too many trophies. And I hear people saying, oh, you shouldn't be focused on the money and stop trading when you make enough money. You wouldn't say that to an athlete. Like, where's that coming from? It's always this external conversation. So we need to shift that external conversation to our internal conversation. When there's stress and anxiety, and if your puppy starts barking, then we need to deal with it. If something happens with your kids and they get sick, they start sneezing, we need to deal with it and be able to still perform even in the face of stress. And this is what Linda's book is all about, isn't it? It's about the potholes that she encountered in her 40 years experience, 40 years trading journey, and how she overcame those and still performed as one of the best players in the world in the face of all these challenges and learning how to do that as well. And so this is always how I work with my traders. Never avoidance, always how to deal with it. And this is how why these three different approaches.
Yeah. I think the three aspects you mentioned there, emotional, mental, and physical. I think I'm not sure if one is more important than the other, but I think mental often gets a lot of the focus. And you mentioned self-talk there and mindset, and I've been reading a book called Beyond Positive Thinking by Robert Anthony, I think it is. And it's not a trading book at all, but it's I guess a self-help book. But he talks a lot about self-talk and how I've been kind of paying more attention to the things that I'm saying to myself, because a lot of time we don't even realize what we're saying. And I was quite shocked, actually. I don't want to share it all here right now, but I was quite shocked at some of the things that I was saying to myself, and I was like, do I really believe that? Is that true? Or what's driving that? So can you talk a little bit more about self-talk and the impact and the challenges that traders have with that?
Yeah, I love that. And I love the title of the book. I haven't read it myself, so I'm going to add it to my list of books to read. And it's really true. So these two extremes, where one theory is you can only talk positively, and the other theory is like it doesn't matter how you talk. And I believe there's a balance. So it's not about positive thinking, it's about realistically thinking.
Yeah.
And part of that is, and this is what makes us humans so powerful, because we have control over our mind, over our self-talk. And it's not to say it's not to be afraid of saying I feel really crap right now. I don't know if I can ever make it. What if the market changes and I'm going to lose my edge? Do I have to go back and, work in a job that I hate? And I don't know about you, I had that experience, 2009, 2010, I was doing really, really well. And then there was an external life force event that I lost everything and had to go back and worked in retail for $20 an hour when I was making $1,000 in an hour sometimes because the market was just really suited for me. So I just made a really bad decision, but you get out of it and you get back on your feet. But so I always look at what I call protective pessimism, which is a combination of positive and negative thinking. So when I have fears, and this is how I work with my traders. So when we have fears, and this is what you did this morning, by the way, unconsciously, when we have fears that something would happen. Yeah. So your thought was, my puppy, kids are at home, we're on lockdown. Puppy is most probably going to go crazy because he is young and full of energy. Yep. So if you would think positively, you would be like, no, puppy will follow my prayers and the universe will make him sleep. No, that's positive thinking. What you did was protective pessimism. You said, right, puppy could be going crazy. What can I do to manage puppy? Let's take him for a long walk. Let's tire him out with throwing balls. It's the same in trading, Andrew. What is the worst thing that can happen? So when you are turning off your automated trading system, what is the worst thing that could happen if you leave it on? And now deal with that, because turning it off is not going to be the solution. It's not managing the problem. It's just avoiding dealing with a problem. And what is it that most traders in the automatic world are afraid of? That their automated trading strategy stops working and then they're screwed. They have to start again from scratch. Positive thinking would be, oh no, everything will be fine. I will be okay. I just have to be positive. Protective pessimism is going to say, what if it stops working? What am I going to do then? Oh, I've got the academy. I've got other traders who have been trading for 20 years, automated. I can ask them, what did you do when your strategy stopped working? How did you identify that your strategy stopped working? Because is it just where the market doesn't suit our strategy anymore? Or is it that it really, we lost our edge? Like, I'm a reversal pattern trader. 2016, all the bearish reversals failed. That was, all the positive thinking in the world did not save me. So I needed to face reality. I needed to add a continuation strategy to my system. And that's what Linda said to me as well. I'm sure she said it to you as well, where she said, when I changed from only reversal and added continuation, my trading game changed. Because most of the time, the market is in a trend. So this is protective pessimism, where you look at what could go wrong, but you don't stay there. And this is what the traders do who turn off the EA or automated system. They only stay in what could go wrong. No, how can I manage that? What can I do differently to manage this? So when we look at negative thinking in terms of trading, what I see with a lot of traders, they have, let's say, a bad run in the market, or they make a really big mistake. And then this thinking goes on in terms of, I'm such a loser. Will I ever make it? I can't believe I did that. I lost most of my profits for the month. And again, Linda has this really classic quote where she says, in a bear market, you can lose in 1 month that took you 3 months to build. And it's true, right? Unless you are preferred short or bear, then it will be the other way around. So, really looking at what can happen. I just lost my trail of thought. Now I need your help, Andrew. What was I just talking about?
Protective pessimism, and you're talking about Linda. I don't know what quote you're talking about for Linda, but actually, don't we have a slide with a quote from Linda on it?
That's right. That's what I was talking about. So if you bring up that slide, because this is what I was getting at.
Okay, I thought so.
So you can see that's the one. Yep. Linda's self-talk and what makes her so successful is all possibility thinking. And that was after she had a really bad trade, and she lost 80% of her profits. And she was working in a fund. She was working for her traders and for her clients. So it's very different when you work for someone else than if you only trade your own account. And what most traders do is they stay stuck in that negative thinking loop. And, I'm such a loser. Will I ever make it? I can't believe I did this. This is how Linda talked. Come on, Linda, let's go. You can do this again. You got to fight. You got to make that money back. I'm going to get that money back with concentration and focus. Keep your mind in the game, Linda. You can do it. If I check out for 1 minute, I'm going to be dead. So I'm going to be fully focused. And that's the self-talk that she had with herself.
Yeah.
And most traders don't think like that, right? And I remember in that trade, which was page 177 of Trading Sardines, what happened, she calculated she had to make $200,000 a day in order to make up for the loss that she had. It wasn't just one trade, the botched bean trade, that she lost it all. It was just an execution error. And so that is her mindset, where she says, I need to make 200,000 a day to make it back. I have an amazing team around me. I know how to trade. I just need to be focused. I can do it. How different is that?
Very different. Yep.
And she did it. Yeah. Yep. In the end, she came out with even 3% more on top. So our clients are happy because of that.
I bet. Yeah. So that goes to show how important that self-talk is, right? It's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So powerful. What you focus on is what you get, like a Google search engine.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some questions in the chat, which we'll get to in a moment. But I wanted to ask you now, when we were talking the other day, you mentioned something about the Queen's Gambit, and I thought it was brilliant the way you applied it to trading and improving your skill sets, etc. So, can you share the story, the analogy of the Queen's Gambit with the audience? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to bring up the slide? Then they can follow if you have the slide.
There we go.
Nope. Yep. This one. Excellent. So when I look at the performance improvement, I also, of course, look at mindset development, which we were just talking about before, and then also skill set development. And mindset, of course, includes emotional, mental, and physical. Because, a strong mind lives in a strong body, as we know. So skill development, there is science for success that I see everywhere in life. And I don't know why traders don't want to do it, because athletes do it. So what did the Queen's Gambit do? Beth Harmon, she started being trained by someone who knew how to play chess, which was the janitor in the orphanage that she lived in.
Yeah.
So for lack of other resources, what she did, he would teach her one game, like one setup, and then she would at night visualize that on the ceiling of her bedroom, because she didn't have any other means. But later on, she would take a book and read about one strategy and get her game out, her board out, and practice it and practice it and practice it until it became unconscious competence. In trading, I don't see that. Traders, they learn a strategy and then it goes straight into the market. We have live market replay on TradingView, on Ninja Trader, on Sierra Charts, on TradeStation. Pepperstone has an amazing smart tool, traders, where you can go back and pretend to trade the market of 2018. Why don't traders do that? So they need to go back and really practice each part of the tactic that we learn. So if your trading strategy includes, let's say, a Bollinger Band reversal setup, take this one Bollinger Band reversal setup and go back and trade it in the last 10 years. Practice it until you know when it works, and most importantly, when it doesn't work. And that's another viewpoint that I see with traders. They only look for, when does my strategy work? Then really look at, when does the strategy not work? So the second part to it, what made her so great was she then went to competitions to play with other players. And then she came home and she would replay the competitions and thought about what can she do better, what can she improve on, what if, then what if scenarios, what if she had done a different tactic or strategy, how would the opponent have responded? Now, Linda, she said every night after her trading day and before she goes to bed, she goes through her trades. Because if you haven't cleaned up the mess in your mind and the emotional upset about, having done stupid mistakes throughout the day, which Linda still makes plenty, but you see, it doesn't make a difference in her bottom line, in her results. She is really conscious about going into the next trading day with a clear, clean slate, putting everything back into the past where it belongs to. Because if you don't do that, you take your bad trades from yesterday into today's market, and that will impact your trading decisions. The fear from screwing up will then impact your decisions today.
Yeah.
So that's why Linda always prepares also the night before. Always she does her worksheet. For 40 years, she still does it.
Wow.
Now, the third strategy is what really got the Queen's Gambit to become the top in the world is when her fellow chess player, who didn't make it to the top of the world, by the way, he said to her, the reason why the Russians are successful and the Americans are always runners-up is because the Russians, they work in a team. The Americans always work alone. And then I don't know if you remember this scene when she was at the World Championships and she calls her friends back in America, where 6, 7 of her player friends who went through different strategies and ideas and gave her feedback, try this, do that. And that's when she beat the Russians. And so this is why it's so important to be with people like you in the academy, because that's the power of the team. When you're feeling down and out, they pick you up and they say, you can do it. Come on. I had a really bad time as well and I made it through, and you can do, and this is what I did. And maybe try this or try that. Have you practiced this? Yeah. So that's the Queen Gambit's science of success approach that works in any area of life, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I should have also mentioned at the start, actually, for those who haven't seen The Queen's Gambit, it's a movie on, is it Netflix, I think?
Netflix, yeah.
And it's probably still there. I think they switch them on and off. But
it is.
Go and have a look at that. It's a really good movie. And as Mandi, as you've just shared, has got a lot of appropriate, applicable, what's the word? Applications, a lot of
applications, ideas, strategies, inspiration. Yes. It's got it all.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me out.
Especially seeing her going through her tough times, where you could see the conditioning of her being in the orphanage and being abandoned by her family. Then she turned to drugs and alcohol, which is an addiction. Going on tilt is also an addictive behavior, which is trying to suppress some sort of pain that we have around losing. Yeah. I mean, or making a bad decision. Maybe you were in school and you gave a wrong answer and then everyone laughed at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
It also shows in the Queen's Gambit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing to think how little small moments of our lives can have such a big impact later on and without even realizing. So thanks for sharing that Queen's Gambit strategy. Now we've got some questions here in the chat that I want to get to before we finish up. So
good.
This first one,
I can't see them, by the way.
No, I'm going to put it up on the screen in a minute. So
awesome.
Let me just
you're a rock star.
So this one is from RDE. Welcome, RDE. Good to see you here again. Mandi, have you worked with systematic traders, and can you speak a little on the mental challenges system traders face?
Yeah, so I haven't worked that much with systematic. So systematic traders, yes, but traders who have automated trading systems, not so much. So if you talk about systematic traders in terms of having a strategy laid out with clear entry, clear exits, clear profit targets, yes, I have. So if you could maybe clarify what you mean, I will answer in both both levels. So
I was just going to say, I think your definition of systematic trading is fine to go with. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if we look at in terms of having an automated trading system, there is a lack of trust in the system when it stops working, just the same as we have a lack of trust in the system when we are not automated. Now, when the system doesn't perform, we need to look at 3 different levels and identify what is it that doesn't work. So I call it the 3 M's: the market, the methodology, or the mindset. Has the market changed? So now we are in a volatile market. And Andrew, I'm so surprised there's so many systematic traders who have only linear thinking. They think it's always working, but they don't take their strategy into the context of market environment. So, for example, with a Fed behavior and there is no alternative, Tina, of where to put your market. The market is just going to push up to the upside. Or if we look at cyclical trading, so for example, the market often pushes into the 3-day weekend when America has, is on, Memorial Day. The market often pushes up into those 3 long day weekends. And then they wonder why their system doesn't work during those times, for example. So that is one. Look at, is the market working for your system right now? Or has the market changed? Have you really gone through the work and looked at what is the environment my strategy works best? As I said before, with bearish reversal patterns, they fail more than they succeed. And Linda then says, if my reversal pattern fails, well, that in itself is for me a continuation pattern to go the opposite way, right? So you can program your system this way too. The second one, so that's market. The second one is methodology. Is your methodology working in this market? So we have all these different indicators, for example. Some indicators work better in some market environment than others. So, for example, if you have a volume indicator and we have a low volume environment, does it give you false signals? I'm just making it up now because I haven't done any research on this, but you can do that with systematic trading and do some backtesting. And then the third one is, of course, mindset. So if you have a trading target, for example, the opening range breakout trade, Andrew, I only have in my lifetime seen 2 people who have done proper backtesting on the opening range breakout, where they ran it through what you guys do, some automation, and they get all the results. And you can see the opening range breakout trade on, let's say, the 1-minute opening range or 5-minute opening range has a lot of drawdown. And you need to be mentally and emotionally able to sustain that drawdown period and know when it works, when it doesn't work, and then maybe go fine tune and say, this is when they fail, and this is what I can now add to my strategy. So, and this is what I see. The challenge is that traders haven't done their work, and then they collapse emotionally. It's like, oh, it doesn't work. I take my system off, as you said before, and then it would work. Now, as I said, only 2 people, Corey and FX Slow, Bob, my friend Bob. Bob ran extensive backtesting research in the opening range breakout on the 1-minute, the 5-minute, the 30-minute, the daily, the hourly. He has all the data that gives him emotional strength and confidence because he knows this is when it works, this is when it doesn't work. Nothing to be afraid of, no stress. Yep. I hope that answered your question. If not, please let us know.
Yeah. RDE said completely automated, but everything you said there applies to algorithmic trading as well, I think. So
good.
Thanks for that, Mandi.
So if I may add one more piece to the completely automated, because in automation, and you have to help me there because I'm not quite sure, because I'm not doing automated trading, but I think there's one more element that we don't have in the discretionary trading or when we only trade as an individual. What I found is with my traders who have automated trading systems, they have, for example, one trader, he forgot to adjust his programming to the time change. So he's an Aussie guy.
Yeah.
And America went on time change, but we didn't as yet. and he forgot it. So all his trading started an hour too late, and it cost him like $10,000 or something. So where you have to stay on top of making sure that you adjust your automated system to environmental changes.
Yeah.
The second challenge that I saw, another trader who had automated system, the system had a bug out of nowhere, right? It was working fine. She goes to bed, she wakes up, thousands of dollars in a loss because it started going on a loop, keeping executing until the account was empty.
Oh, no.
So these are the things that you need to add to your automated trading, which I'm sure you have experienced, Andrew, and you can help your traders to be proactive and say, if you go into automated trading, these are the problems that can occur with your automation, with your software program, with your computer, and this is how you manage it. So it's a well-being approach rather than, oh shit, you know what happened? I'm screwed now, and I need to fix it.
Yep. Yeah.
Well sorry, I wanted to add that for you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Mandy. Here's another question. This one is from Jones. Jones is a regular. Good to see you, Jones. Excuse me. What words of advice from Mandy? I've tried to day trade over the past 20 years, but I'm not profitable. Should I just give up? Am I irredeemable?
I love it. Thank you so much, Jones. So here's the thing. Now we can see how the mindset and how the self-image works, because what you're doing, my friend, is you're giving me the power to decide over your life. I'm not going to do that. I have never met you. I don't know you. And I'm not going to tell you if you're irredeemable or not. What I can tell you, though, is that if you choose to make it work, you will find a way. Because I have worked with some amazing traders and I have seen it is possible. I tell you, they are not the smartest in the world. They don't meditate. Linda doesn't meditate at all, right? They don't do all these things that we see on Twitter. You have to meditate and, you know, you have to have a clean desk. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Skylane TK on Twitter. Amazing guy, right? Trading for 40 years, made millions of dollars. And he's like, I'm so sorry, my desk is messy. And I said, so was Einstein's desk. So, but but his trading results, this guy knows how to trade. He knows how to read the market. By the way, he only trades 3 times a week, only at options expiry, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The rest of the day, he goes hiking in the Colorado mountains. Wow. So, you know, and he is an automated strategy as well, by the way, like you. So if you want to make it work, you can make it work. You need to find out what it is that stops you. And I'm pretty sure it's mindset, because I can already see by how you language the question, because you wanted me to decide for you. Now, if you really want to trade, if you want to be a trader, make the decision to find a way. I'm going to find a way no matter what. Because if they can do it, if Andrew can do it, if Mandi can do it, I can do it too. Right? Trading is not rocket science. It is about self-leadership. That's really the only thing. So I hope this is helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Hopefully that helps you, Jones. This is not really a comment, but I'm interested to hear if you got any additional to add to this, because you did talk about the physical side, or the physical side of managing stress. Philip said recommends the Wim Hof method, which I've heard a lot about the last few years. He's really that method's really taking off to gain strength of mind and health for trading. Changed my trading life and eliminated all my anxiety. So, have you heard of this technique before?
Okay, so I am a regular of the Wim Hof method as well. So I have done all the courses and also go every Sunday to a Wim Hof group where we do ice baths and breathing.
Wow.
Now, Wim Hof is nothing new. Yoga has done the breathing for centuries. Now, Wim Hof is the one who made it popular and put it into a structure and strategy. So yes, I'm a big fan of the Wim Hof method. Again, most of the traders that I know who make between 5 and 6 figures a month, they don't do any Wim Hof and ice baths. Not at all. They think I'm crazy. So it is helpful and it is amazing and I love it and it's changed my life too, especially my health. But it's not a be all and end all to succeeding in trading. That's one thing. Hearing that it eliminated all anxieties, that to me is a generalization. Maybe when we have an anxiety, Andrew, going back to mindset, 80% of the time, it's always the same thought, the same fear that triggers impulsive behavior or self-sabotaging behavior. And so when we can eliminate a small hinge swings a big door, you can keep all your flaws, all your bad habits. Who cares? Just eliminate the one fear in your trading, in your life. What is that you're most afraid of? And then your life will change by 80%, massively, swinging a big and a big door and swinging the doors to abundance open, so to speak. So that's why when Philip spoke about it eliminated all my anxieties, well, maybe just the one, but that had a massive impact. So whatever it is that you do, yoga, Wim Hof, cold showers, hot saunas, find something that helps you. Now, what I love about the cold showers and the Wim Hof, Andrew, and this is the reason why I did it. I grew up as a free spirit, very unruly, like a puppy that doesn't want to listen, right? And well into my adult life. And anything in life that is worthwhile achieving has become, we are only able to achieve it because we are disciplined. What does discipline mean? In a nutshell, really simplified, is I don't feel like doing the thing that I have to do in order to reach my goal. I want to lose weight. I want to eat pizza and pasta and chocolate and drink beer. So me losing weight is to lead myself into choosing salad over pizza, choosing vegetables over pasta, and so on. So not doing what I feel like doing, but doing what I say myself, what I command myself to do, like a little puppy dog. So I look at my brain as a little puppy dog. And look at your kids, right? Your kids are like, Daddy, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to kindergarten. And maybe your puppy says, I don't want to go to doggy daycare. And you're like, no, you go. No arguments. You go to bed now. You eat your vegetables. We have to talk the same to ourselves. Now, every day when I go to the shower, I'm like, I'm not going to have a cold shower today. So this is my self-talk. And whilst I'm saying that, I turn on the cold water. So that is what the Wim Hof and the ice baths gave me, learning to control my little puppy dog mind and doing what I say I do and not doing what I feel like doing. I think we are running out of time. Can that be?
We are. I was wondering if we could squeeze in one more question, because this question
of course,
is probably one of the biggest or most popular questions from traders. Let me put this up on the screen. This one is from Tirth. Here we go, Tirth. Thanks for the question. How to recover from drawdowns or from larger drawdowns, and how to prevent overtrading after that. So drawdowns.
Awesome. So that is such a great question. And that goes back to that example from Linda's book, page 177, the botched bean trade, where Linda had this massive drawdown. So you can imagine if Linda had to make $200,000 a day to recover her drawdown, how large that drawdown must have been. So how do you recover from larger drawdowns? First, I always think in frameworks and categories. And so the framework and the category that we use for here is, again, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So emotionally, a large drawdown, of course, has a massive impact on our mindset, on our self-image, on why was I so stupid? What's wrong with me? Will I ever make it? What if I lost my edge and I need to go back to a job that I hate? All the self-talk. Number one, go and feel sorry for yourself for 2 days, maybe a week the most, if you need to. Have ice cream, drink beer, whatever it is, really feel what you're feeling from the large drawdown, or the regret, or the disappointment in yourself, everything. So what most traders do is it feels so uncomfortable, they suppress it. They don't want to feel it. But I want you to really go into feeling it, because what we suppress, that stays, right? Well, what we allow, what we feel into, gets dissolved and released and leaves us. So, for example, when you do meditation, I was talking to a trader, he did the Vipassana meditation, and he was not allowed in the first hour, he was not allowed to move. And he did that in India, in a hot place where there are mosquitoes. So when you have a mosquito and it bites you on the nose, you're not allowed to scratch your nose. So, nope. So what do? You breathe into that itch. You focus all your energy on that itch, and then it goes away. Isn't that crazy? This is how our mind works. So really feel everything that you feel about that. Feel sorry for yourself. Have ice cream, but only for a period of time. After one day, you pick yourself up, like Linda did. You pick yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah.
And you start now with your mental category, your mental capital. What is it that you're good at? What can you do? So did you practice your strategy? So go back to that large drawdown period. Let's say it was a sequence of trades where you had 10 losing trades in a row and it was a cut by 1,000 losses, right? Or it was one big, large drawdown that screwed up everything. So go back on live market replay, not on sim, live market replay, and retrade it and look at how could you have done that better, preferably like Linda did with someone else from a team like your team, Andrew, and go through the trades and say, what is it that you saw? Why didn't it work? What can I learn for my strategy in terms of what are the parameters when my strategy does not work? That then helps me to identify in future, in advance, when it fails. So as I said, I love trading double tops, right? And double tops fail. And I did a whole month just diving into when do they fail. And now I know exactly when they fail, and I don't take every double top anymore because I can see the signs. So do that. Find out what happened, what caused a large drawdown in terms of your strategy, methodology. Then you gain more confidence again in yourself, more trust again in yourself. About the market, right? So market methodology. Did the market environment change? What caused the drawdown? When you have clarity around what caused the drawdown, then again, you gain more confidence in yourself and you're ready to start again. Now look forward. What is it that I need to create in order to make the drawdown back and even rise above it? And know that remember, we start here. Our goal is up here. That when you overcome this, you're closer to your big picture goal. Let's say you want to make 10 million a year. You're now closer to the 10 million a year goal. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell, because I know we are running out of time, how I would approach it. And then physically, of course, go to the gym, go for a run, do yoga, do whatever gives you the feeling of control back. Because when you have the large drawdown, what triggers is that we feel out of control, we feel at the mercy of life. And when we do sports, there's, of course, all the chemical things that are going on in our mind that make us feel good. Eat Brazil nuts, 3 or 4 Brazil nuts, because they give us serotonin, feel good feelings. What gives you endorphins? Not endorphins, dopamine. Running gives you dopamine, right? So that goes back to the work from Andrew Huberman, looking at what can you do on a biochemical level to make yourself feel good again after the drawdown, so that you don't stay stuck in feeling bad. Because the only reason why drawdowns are such a bummer is because we feel bad about ourselves and we miss all the opportunities that are coming up. And then we are someone, as I always say, we are sitting in front of this enormous magic buffet that is always self-filling. So the pots are always filling up with the yummy food. And traders sit in front of this buffet and they're starving to death. And the market gives one more dish after another, a plethora of dishes. We don't need to starve. So focus again. Yes, you went to the buffet, you filled up your plate, you dropped it on the way to your table. Take another plate, go back to the buffet, the market, and grab more. So I hope this is helpful. I could talk about it forever because it's such an awesome topic.
Yeah, I love that buffet analogy because I like to eat food. So yeah, that really connected with me. So we got a couple of thumbs up as well as you were talking through there. So I think you really connected with the audience today. So thank you very much, Mandi. I'm conscious we're a little bit over time, so I appreciate you being accommodating for that. So if people want to learn more from you or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, through our website, highperformancetrading.com.au, which is, by the way, named after Steve Ward's epic book, High Performance Trading, which was a real game changer for me. Or on Twitter at M for Mary, P for Peter, X_trader, MPX trader. So
okay, thank you very much. I'll have links. I'll have links to those down in the descriptions below the video. So yeah, thank you very much, Mandi. And anything from the little kangaroo in the corner I can see there.
Never give up. There's always a way, and you will find the way.
Okay, so I think we're going to hop along now and finish up for today. Apologies for that dodgy bridge there, but we're getting some thank yous in the chat. Let me just share a few just to before we go. So RDE said thank you. Great question from RDE. Thanks a lot. Mofo's been putting some good comments in the chat, which I haven't shared, but Mofo said amazing. Thank you. BK has also had some good comments. BK is hungry after that little buffet discussion. And for me, well, it's almost lunchtime.
I love your logo, BK. Awesome logo.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? What's that, a bull and a bear?
Yeah.
By the looks of it. And then the city.
A bull and a bear.
Yeah, very nice. So, so thanks again, Mandi. Appreciate your time. Scott, here's a good one from Scott. G'day, Scott. Scott says, thanks so much intelligence. I think he's talking about you there, Mandi. I don't think he's talking about me. So thanks again. It was great chatting to you, and I wish you all the best. And for everyone who's following along, please don't forget to give us a big thumbs up on the video, and leave a comment if you want to share a comment on your number one takeaway from what Mandi shared today. I do read all the comments on YouTube. So thanks again, Mandi. Thank you for everyone attending today, and I wish you all the best.
And thank you for everything that you do, Andrew, for the trading community.
Thank you very much.
It means a lot.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.